the show last night?
Oh no shit! Let's jump right in there. Now, go, fellas. What's happening? What's happening?
What's up, niggas?
Man, we're moving episode 11, right?
Episode 11.
We're going. Like we're talking about doing like a season 2 thing, right? And I think we should still do it. But I feel like we still, in a way, are an episode 1 vibe.
Yeah. And there's a lot of hype. Like, people just want more, you know what
right?
I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
Hey man, I was talking to my sister. She was also saying. So shout out to Kangi.
Yeah.
She was saying, yeah, no, it's too early for you guys to take your foot off. Yeah.
Right. No, we gotta keep going, man.
But we're thankful for the support and
we appreciate y'all. The love, man. And I was talking to, just playing open cards with our fans as well. This is really the strategy around this that we're building to sustainably building an audience, because that has been the thing that has, everyone is asking about, like, why are the numbers not where they think they should be. It's really just about the proper marketing that we're trying to get in place. And we're working on that. So stay tuned.
All in good time.
All in good time. I mean, if you have a voice, use your platform, share, like, subscribe, talk. The idea is to get the conversations going.
Talk to us.
Do you understand what I mean? And the more you talk about us and talk about what we talk about, the more people will know about it as well. But definitely we're working on a strategy for growth, because definitely want a lot of people to be, because really, if you think about it, the feedback we're getting is, we thank you guys for just creating the platform for men to talk about these things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And we're not gonna stop, so we're gonna keep going. A lot of things have been happening. Like I said, I'm a little turned, but there's a lot of things that have been going on that we should talk about. You know what I mean? First thing being, I went to my first therapy session yesterday.
Wow.
Right? Which in itself it's something I always wanted to do. I mean, I've been to therapy before. But that was like once in varsity, right? And and even what I told my therapist, I know stuff is supposed to be confidential and whatever, but what I told her was, in my mind, it had always been about getting to a place where I can actually accommodate it and make it a permanent part of my life, right? Where I consistently go once in a while just to check in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's really what you're doing. You're going there to just check in. Somebody, just sees where you're at mentally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you are in your life and things you can tweak and tune and do. You know what I mean? To improve yourself.
Which is necessary, because sometimes you are going through stuff, but you haven't acknowledged it. But when you start to talk to someone, it's like,
different voice.
Do you realize you might be? Because I remember, for me, when I went to therapy, we had a few sessions. I was also in tertiary at the time.
Yeah.
I was just like, yo, I can't study. I can't do the things I usually
do.
And the stuff that usually gives me joy, like playing soccer, video games at that time.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything for me. I'm stagnant. I just wake up and that's it. And I realized, actually, so me and this shorty, it was all sorts of type of situation. That
Did you go
down.
because of a shorty, basically?
I didn't think it was because of her, but I realized that separation had that effect on me.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it had me in a lull.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that until I started talking to someone that, shit, this is what I'm going.
This is what I'm going through. Facts. And it's important.
Amazing,
So Aubrey went because of a girl, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I do want that to go over people's heads, but women need to know this though. Like,
they have a huge effect.
Push us to an edge where we need a release. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's.
You ought to be ashamed. You're sending dudes to therapy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets real sometimes. You know what I mean? Because the narrative usually is men are just supposed to be tough. Like, take it to the chin, move on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and even if you talk about it with your homies, like, that's the advice that you're gonna get. Like, yo, just suck it up. Yeah.
Just suck it up. And what I think we tend to miss, and sometimes ladies tend to miss, is that we're human too.
100.
We got feelings, we got emotions, we
just express them differently.
You know what I mean? And if we work together, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we can,
you sound like Dr. Phil right now.
Right? If we work
after one
together,
session. I'm just saying.
You know what I mean? Like, where you look at me as human too, like, we can make progress. We can figure things out better. You know what I'm saying? If you understand, okay, what my love language is, or what my communication, how I communicate, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna listen to this podcast when I need to go and fight for a second chance. Derek is just going in there, he's like setting that up, bro.
I'm just saying, like, it's important. Once we take away the stigma of what a man is supposed to be, what a woman is supposed to be, right? Or how we expect them to communicate, or vice versa. You know what I mean? I think we'll get to a neutral place where we start dealing with each other as humans, as people first, before anything. So what was fascinating or interesting in that session I had yesterday was I was the one doing most of the talking. Because you know, like when you're in that space, you're thinking, okay, probably they're gonna be asking you like a doctor, how do you feel? So, you know, is it aching? Is it, you know? But it was more like it was more like how she started it, bro, was interesting. It was just like, so how was your day? What did you plan to do today?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So what do you want to get out of this? Right? It was these questions that got you to open up.
Yeah.
And not, because you know you're going there prepared, right? You like, I'm gonna talk about this. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying? But she broke that down, bro, so quickly in the first 5 minutes. Like, I found myself talking about my life story.
Man.
Like,
listen,
damn.
you need to give us the heads up. What exactly did she ask you so we know what to answer?
But I think maybe it's counselor and therapist is different. But what I got out of it was the idea is you don't know yourself as much as you think you do. Right? You don't know what you're going through and what you're dealing with as much as you actually are going through stuff. Right? Like, what I got out of it was, geez, there's a lot of things. Because it started from how my day was. What my plans are, what am I thinking, what am I trying to get out of, and then it started getting into stuff that was really real based off of just that question. Oh, I'm planning to get this out of this, and based on maybe get to know you, get to know me, and well. And then we started talking about me. I just started opening up around what my fears are, or my concerns are, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, wow, it's funny how a lot of different things that are going on currently are related to things that have happened in my past, or
how you
things
were
that
raised, or experiences,
things that I haven't even looked at as something to figure out or think about or process like that. You know what I mean? And I think it's especially in the Black community, we have so much trauma that we haven't dealt with that we don't think is trauma because we're so used to it.
Yeah.
Right? We have things that have happened in the past, or things that we're dealing with now based on our past, that we think, it is what it is. Life is supposed to be that way anyway. And then you're like, man, like, these past experiences have got me.
Did she tell you to confront anyone?
No, bro. What was funny was, it was so much of me talking, right?
Yeah.
That when the hour was finished, it was like, oh snap, time has
elapsed.
You know?
Would you go back again?
For sure. I'm like, we got it locked in every 2 weeks.
Did you record it? Did you record it?
Nah, fam. Like, I think that's where we draw the line. Like,
did you cry?
No, it wasn't. But it got intense at some point. It was just like facing some of the things that you've never addressed, right? Or
I felt like mine was constantly trying to make me cry.
Honestly. Really?
Yeah.
No, for me,
obviously not on the first.
Yeah.
Engagement or interaction, but further along the line, I mean, should even put the tissues on the table. if you
create the platform for you to.
I was black, bruh. I couldn't. And you know what the thing is? That's why I'm like, and I'm not saying, if you need to cry, want to cry, by all means do your thing. It's a release, But this is where I think there's in society today, people are always pushing that agenda. men must cry. Men must no. Men must find their release.
That's all it is.
Men must find their release. We don't have to do things the way others do things. We just need to make sure that we're healthy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not shunning crying. At the same time, I'm not saying we must cry. I'm just saying, realize there's an issue there. Realize that you're hurting. And heal.
True. And that's what it is for me. I think we have to kind of address the stigma against therapy. Therapy is not for broken people alone.
Yeah.
The same way you can go to your doctor just for a health check. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Not to say you have something wrong. Just say, I just want to make sure I'm still okay. I want to make sure like I'm all right. It's the same thing with your mental health. Because after that, I had a conversation with my mom about it, right? Where I was like, oh, Ma, just checking up with my mom. And then I'm like, nah, I just came from therapy. She's like, huh? Therapy? Are you okay? Like, what's wrong?
I could really hear that coming.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's wrong?
Yeah, like, what's wrong? Like, now I'm worried. I'm like, you see, like, the stigma around it is, something has to be wrong for you to go to that space. And, like, and because my mom is and I come from a very Christian family, right? It's like, well, you can pray about it, Pray about, like prayer addresses these things and whatever your concerns are. Like, have you, and I look at it like, the beauty is I have at least that good relationship with my mom, right? Where I can just keep it 1,000. I'm like, Ma, listen, there's a time for that. I think prayer is important.
Yeah. Because
also, it was two things she mentioned that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to as well, which is, pray about stuff. And secondly, don't you have, aren't there people in just the family circle that you can confide in, that you have a relationship with tricky. Like that? Where it's like, and to me, it's like, listen, firstly, there's nothing wrong, right? I'm not going for therapy because there's something wrong. It's just, you just want to check in once in a while to make sure everything is all right. And also because you're trying to better yourself. Right?
Understand me better.
I want to know me better so that I can work at my maximum, my optimum, 100%. All engines firing, right? Yeah. So I need to just keep checking in once in a while to make sure that I'm straight. Now, it doesn't take away from any other relationship I have. It's not to say family is not important. It's not to say church is not important, or prayer, or your pastor, or whatever, right? But at the same time, I can improve on these relationships and work better on these relationships if I'm 100%.
And I feel like part of it could also be that there's this, and this is not just now a black folk thing, because we do know that black folk are going through trauma, but I think particularly in Christianity, there's this thing that if you've got to tell it to another human being, then clearly God is inadequate for you. But that's not the point. Yeah. If anything, the one thing God said was not good when he created the earth was that Adam was alone. Remember,
right? Yeah.
If you look at the Genesis story, he says it is good every time he creates something, but when he looks, he sees man alone and says it is not good that man should be alone. So we are sociable creatures because we want someone like us to talk to. And sometimes that's not my mom, that's not my dad, that's someone who is just independent from my circle.
True. And that's just the like a lot of people go through the same process, right? Where if there's something you're going through, you're directed to church, directed to just pray about it. Things will be fine. Like,
talk to someone you can trust.
Talk to someone, you know what I mean? God is there. You don't think God is there? He's listening. He's, and definitely I think that is important to have a relationship. Some people are not Christian here, but
higher power.
Higher power.
Yeah.
I'm Christian, so I'll say God, right? Which is, I know he's there, he's listening, and I know he has a plan, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think sometimes just having an unbiased opinion about your situation.
Right.
About you as a person.
Yeah.
Right? Is important. You know what I'm saying? And bro, like, a lot of black communities struggle with that. That the stigma is, it's either you're crazy if you go for therapy, that you're mentally ill, or it's either you're going through something that someone died, something traumatic has happened.
Yeah, it's super hectic.
You know, and just the fact that we define specifically certain things as trauma and other things are not is a problem in itself. You know, if someone dies, it's a traumatic situation. But if I'm trying to figure out the pressure at work and life, that is trauma as well.
Yeah, they even call it low flying panic, where you're always on the edge about something that it's not necessarily urgent, but you just feel like everything is not aligned or something is just off.
Correct. So
That's deep, man.
Just to add to, and I feel you were treading on it, and you mentioned it when you were talking independent people. Sometimes as the person going to therapy, you can't be as open as you need to be, because it's a thing of, I'm scared what Q is going to think of me, because I know him in this social setting. So it's like, you know, I know I should be thinking across these lines, but the reality, how I'm thinking is not necessarily, you know, something to be proud of. But I'm feeling these things, I'm thinking these things. So, you know, I need to be in a space where I can say something with somebody who's not going to judge me, or I don't feel judged.
Right.
Because sometimes the people won't judge us, but we're going to feel judged by them. Or we're going to feel they have something on us.
Correct.
So it's one of those things.
I like that you say that, because it means it's not necessarily about them. It's just how I might take you as my mom, as my dad, as whoever, my brother, sister. And I'm like, it's not that you are a problem. It's just that I would not be comfortable opening up.
I wouldn't.
100%.
I wouldn't. And the other part I brought, that I think also my mom brought up, right, in this conversation was, it's not that some people don't have those opportunities to afford a therapist. And I understand that. It's important to not just say black people don't like therapy. Or black people, you know, generally some people, the majority have, based on their circumstances, can't go to therapy. They can't afford a therapist. Do you understand? But I think this is something we should work on as a society. The same way we talk about, know your status.
Yeah.
You know, the same way we talk about nutrition. It's about educating the black community to make this a very important thing. I shouldn't have to pay for a therapist. The same way I don't pay for, you know,
an HIV test.
I don't pay. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's important to accommodate that, so that it's not just a rich person's thing or a wealthy, privileged community type of service. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because everybody needs to know what their status is mentally and how they can improve. Because it's about self-improvement for me, right? It's about how do I work on certain things that influence the decisions I make now, whether it's traumas, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, or whatever. How do I get that in check so that I'm able to tackle life in the best possible way, right? So I just thought it's important to talk about that, but bring it even closer to what we also talk about, relationships, right? Mental health plays a very big role in how people behave and carry themselves in relationships, right?
Yeah.
We hear so many times people killing their partners, you know, gender-based violence and all of these things. But we usually address these issues
at the surface level. We're trying to come up with a quick solution. Hashtag this, hashtag that. Men are trash, this and that, right? But we're not trying to get to the root cause of it, to say, what makes a person act out this way? What makes a person be manipulative? What makes a person, you know, use their hands to hurt someone based on a dispute, right? Like, and I think that's the problem, that we haven't actually figured a way to get to that and address it in the early stages as children. Like, I remember when we had a big, you know, tragic incident in the family, and my nephew, right? He's 7 now, but he was 6 or 5 at the time, and he had to go for therapy, right? And to me, it's like, if we see the importance when maybe something tragic happens and the child then can go to therapy, why don't we make that a normal thing once in a while, right? Because if he's being bullied at school, and maybe he's not comfortable going home to tell his parent or his dad, like, oh, I'm being bullied because the dad will say, oh, yeah, man, you're weak, you should fight back.
you know? And he's not getting the right attention to address the emotions that come with that. And how
I
he
constantly wonder how I'd respond as a father in that situation, particularly.
Oh, I know what I would say.
Yeah.
Like, fight back. What's wrong with you? go back. And do you understand what I'm saying? Not to say that's the responsible response to it.
It's not necessarily the right response, but the question of just what would a father say to his son to try and toughen him up. It's a tough world. But at the same time, I love what you're saying, because you know what? Basically, if we're saying that, why haven't we made trauma counseling? We then need to look at real practical situations.
Yes.
We have a South Africa, for example, where people used to be tortured in the apartheid government. What happened to all that trauma? Do you think it went away because of the TRC?
No.
Really? So
Right.
then now we have crime that's a generation down. You think that these things disappear? So you think the father who had his testicles electrocuted during the apartheid regime raised his son okay?
Yeah.
And you think that boy is okay enough to leave you alone when he doesn't have a dime in his pocket, but he wants something from you? You've said something when you say, why haven't we made trauma services national? It's all swept under the carpet. Mental health is swept under the carpet. And all of a sudden we face crisis as a nation and we say, why did it happen?
Why we wonder why are Africans the way they are.
And Lance, you brought up something that actually happened recently, yeah?
Yeah.
In terms of, someone being murdered.
Yeah, I think it was very tough to read.
I need to give you the mic for this one.
Was it? Yeah, it was very tough to read, I think. Just seeing that lady, I think, chopped up and having such graphic images of her going through that ordeal. I think that was really, really traumatic.
It is.
And I think that's something that really needs to be addressed. I don't think this is something...
Let me ask this. How long have we been saying this needs to be addressed? Because it's not a new thing. This is something that has...
Girls get burnt like a remains.
Yes. Like, when do we get to the real solutions? I'm asking. Because we've had these conversations from the beginning of time. Something needs to happen. Like, stop gender-based violence. Hashtag this, hashtag that. Clearly, as far as I'm concerned, it's not working.
Because people are definitely still killing and mutilating corpses.
I think even with what happened at UCT in 2019, you thought that was a huge alarm bell for us, like that we need to really start educating each other about
mental health.
About gender-based violence, mental health. And I think to you guys' point, I just wanted to point out that there are platforms such as SADC who actually offer free psychological services for people. So I think those sort of platforms need to actually be promoted.
But that's the point. And you raise it because yes, we are aware there are platforms like that, right? But this is not. How many people know about it?
That's the thing,
right? In our whether it's from an education standpoint, right? As much as we teach history, as much as we teach, mathematics, right? As much as are we giving that the same amount of attention and importance where we actually start seeing practical results? Because it all comes to being informed, right? People need to be educated about this thing, the impact of it,
especially in our communities.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I just
think we've talked about it, and we're gonna keep talking about it. But as far as we're concerned, and this is a very important discussion because we're usually on the receiving side of it, for the most part. Right? We are usually the perpetrators of this, right? And it's saying, how do we get to come up with real solutions to address the problem? Some of our men are doing this. Some of our men are beating women. Some of our men are killing women, right? As men, what do we think the solution is? We can't keep saying, oh, guys, stop doing it. It's like if a child does something and they don't listen. Clearly, that's not working. You have to think, okay, what's the different strategy here? I need to get through to this.
I've got an unpopular opinion as always. I think we're dealing with a lot of moral issues, questions of right and wrong. But I think because we decided to discard of the fact that, or rather to discard of God as a country and say this is a secular nation, what's happened is we're now at a place where there's no moral recourse. So postmodernism takes its course naturally and says what's right for you is right for you, what's right for me is right for me. Because there's no standard outside of an individual. And so there's a sense of being a self-righteousness that comes with individuals that, look, if I feel this way, it is this way. You may pontificate as much as you want about, no, this is just a liberal place. No. At the end of the day, if you've said that someone is not morally accountable externally, they are accountable internally, then there's no moral accountability. Then you can't have capital punishment because you can't say what the value of life is based on a moral standard. And that's what's happened. So you don't have a deterrent for those who won't come around, as well as an encouragement for those who would do better if they knew better.
True. I mean, the other side to that, Q, right, which is, I understand the Christian element to it, which is important, but you're dealing with also, there's conflict there, right? We're not all in agreement on
religious
values, right? So it's, I don't want to necessarily say let's put religion aside, but to say how do we get to a common ground on this issue? I'm Adventist, you're Muslim, you're Catholic, whatever. How do we, put that to the side for a little bit and come to a common understanding on this issue, because it affects all of us. What in my mind, what it raises is, as human beings, the one thing that puts us or brings us together is the fact that we're human. First.
Yeah.
Before I'm Adventist, before you're whatever, before we're all human. I bleed, you bleed.
Yeah.
Okay? If your daughter is raped or killed, you feel the same pain that I feel if my daughter was harmed in any way, right? So how do we put politics, religion, all these things, not necessarily to the side, but how do we at least come to an understanding on this based on our common ground, right? And I think it just randomly thinking here is we have to start operating at that level first as society. We have too many things that divide us, okay? That we're allowed to divide us, right? We allow religion to divide us in some cases. We allow politics to divide us. We allow culture, tradition,
language,
everything.
But I think I 100% agree with everything you guys have shared, and I understand where you're also coming with the whole religious thing and all these other elements you just highlighted as well. I think, in all honesty, the problem is that we have lost our sense of community. We are so distracted by what's going on Twitter, Instagram, all this stuff. So we don't even have time for each other as human beings. So we can't build that human connection because we are so distracted. So I think when we begin to build the sense of community, the sense of relationship, then it'll be a thing of, I can't see Derek suffer.
Right.
I see something going on with so-and-so's daughter. That conversation doesn't look like things are healthy. I can't see Lance right now, but I know that's pretty much my niece. We might not be related, but you see that sense of community, it'll force me to act. To say, look, I don't know what's going on. It's not my place to be in this person's relationship, but it looks like that girl is not safe.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now we're in such a place that it's like, even for people that we know, when we see them in tricky situations, it's like, yo, but I don't think I know you to that level where it's not my place. So you're like, and you're like, should I? And then it's like a thing of, hey, but also she might turn around and be like, okay, does this nigga want me? So is he using this opportunity to get in between me and my man?
Yeah.
What's the agenda? You know, so it's like you don't want to come across as having an agenda. I was telling my one friend the other time, like, you hear so and so is getting played, and you're like, so do I say something, or do I just,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
Do you
saying?
remember when we were in high school, Aubrey? We had, what was that class? Where the class that was just for like counseling. Guidance and counseling.
Yeah.
There was a module.
GNC, yeah.
It was the best class ever, right? Because this is a class where you're just talking about life,
We're talking about sex.
talking about your experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
But you see, that's where my argument comes in, that was based on a morality of some sort.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to agree with one religion for you to accept its positive tenets. If you don't agree with Islam, fair enough. But do you agree with the fact that there can possibly be a right way to do things that Islam would look at the way as? Because then what we're saying is those differences are no longer dividing us. They actually
bro,
can unite
on that
us.
topic, yes, you're right. On that topic, I was watching a documentary yesterday around Afghanistan and what's going on there, and the Taliban, and you know, how they manage their communities.
Okay.
How they're very community based, right? And I saw in my mind was so interesting because it's almost the similar practices that we practice in Shona culture in the villages, in certain extents, where you have like a local governing body.
With Sabuku as
Sabukus, you understand? Where they manage things locally. They hold dares, which is like, you know, what do you call that in English? It's like
Council meetings.
yes, like a local council.
yeah, local council. You understand?
Or like chiefdoms
yeah,
and stuff.
chiefdoms and stuff.
Okay.
And in that village, you have local representation of this is how things are run here. And we take care of our women, we take care of our kids. This is not allowed, that's not allowed, this is not. And they work as a community. If someone is doing wrong, they can go locally and address it. Okay?
Precisely.
And I think that's important, like addressing people doing the wrong thing. Because I feel like we usually turn a blind eye on quite a lot of things that happen.
Thank you, Lance. That's what I mean when I say morality.
Yeah.
We should be able to say this is a sin. This is a problem.
Yeah.
What is sin by definition? I'll give you the biblical definition, but it will apply in any context. Transgression of the law.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is a breaking of our law, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're
Yeah.
Buddhist, whether you're whatever.
Yeah.
If we have a sense of this is what is right,
Yeah.
this is the moral code by which we adhere to.
Right. Yeah.
Once you don't, we can call it out
Yeah.
and then take action. But as long as we take this view that I want to say directly, Hollywood has sold us. The Western view that what's right for you is right for you, what's right for me is right for me.
Yeah.
This postmodernistic view, a Hellenistic view actually, because we say postmodern, but it's from Greek culture,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is over 2,000 years old, which says I can define right for myself. And then Richard Dawkins comes along and says we're DNA engines, so there's no necessary right, which is outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
That is a problem because
Yeah.
what happens when someone has psychopathic urges? What's right for him is to chop your head off and to sell and to eat the bits over the next 6 months.
Yeah. No, you know, Q, you're 100% on the money. And I can tell you that the reality is that people will just get deterred just because you're saying sin and you're talking religion and this type. But the truth is, and we fully agree with you. For me, I just look at it and say, can we treat each other with love? With compassion?
That is
You know what I mean? I think when we start to focus on that, then it becomes a thing of, no, but that's not loving.
But
You know,
practically
we can't
speaking,
behave that way.
but
you know,
but practically speaking, Aubrey, right? Because what I'm trying to move away from is we've got these generic terms we use: love your neighbor,
Yeah.
love this, love that. but practically speaking, how do we apply this with that specifically? The you know, let's call it, you know, they should be love and everything. I get that.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing to say. I get it.
In a utopian world.
Right. Like, let's love each other. Babe, why are we beefing? Let's spend more time. Let's love each other. Man. You show me love, I'll show you. Like,
Do better.
do better. You understand? Right? Let's do better. You know. But I'm saying practice because we want to see results. I'm saying on this gender-based violence thing, we've been talking about it from the beginning. You know, men should be more patient. Yes, you know, men should pay more. You know, like go for counseling and stuff like that. But we've never practically looked at a lasting solution to the topic. So,
and we're seeing quite a lot of these stories just continue coming out. So it's actually escalating.
It's escalating
from what it looks like.
So it's not working clearly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's, excuse me, how do we get to a point where we actually have real results from it? And I think it starts with just educating the next generation and putting systems in place now for us as society, where we can talk freely about these things, where men can express how they feel.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're on the wrong side of it.
And let's not just say how men feel.
Yeah.
How men feel when this, that, and that happens.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, when you just say how men feel,
yeah,
it's like it's just about what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's if we are to pull out these situations, I'm sure there's common situations that occurred that led these people to do what they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So it's like if we can talk about that, then it'll be a thing of, oh, I understand how you feel, Derek. Because I felt like this
at some point,
and this is how I dealt with it. So,
but that's what I'm saying. We need that. Let's not let. And I think the problem sometimes is we're so used to being spoon fed.
Yeah.
Okay, we're so used to being spoon fed by, you know, government. We're so used to being spoon fed by, you know, what's happening over in the US, what's happening in Europe, or wherever, that we lose some of the values that we already have traditionally.
Because we take it as gospel.
Because we take it as gospel. Oh, if it's okay for someone to do it, I can do it. You know? And the whole concept that you brought up very nicely about community, of how do we own this locally in our spaces, to say, okay, in this part of Gauteng, we don't do this. Okay.
Yeah.
If you see a lady, you know, is carrying heavy things, there's no way you're gonna pass and not help her. If you're on the Gau train and there's an old lady that's standing and you're sitting, when, you know, please can you, like, do you understand? Like that's because I look at it all the time. It's like, wow, I can't believe this is okay. Like, you know what I mean? If my grandma was here or my grandpa, like, this would be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, but I think Q and Lance really hit it. And your comment when you first shared it, it just kind of actually flew over my head. I didn't actually hear you. We need to get to a place where we stop being PC and we're able to actually call these things out.
Yes,
it's a problem. Like, and I always say this: we don't put ourselves in a position of growth when we cannot deal with things directly.
And on top of that, there's no way we get to real solutions if everyone is trying to be politically correct. If everyone is afraid to be cancelled.
100%.
That's it. But you see, you don't build a community by castigating people for standing up for right. So if someone says, young man, get up, there's a lady there who's he's speaking with the authority of the community, like you said, Aubrey, it's community-based. Now, if that young man might be built tougher than this old man who might be small,
that's a problem.
The authority of this man is not just his own voice. It's
Bro, there's a
everyone
statement
on
that, just to add to what you're saying. You don't respect the person, but respect the office. Do you get that? Don't let that go over your head, right? Respect the office, don't respect the person. Meaning, if this person is your elder, it doesn't matter whether they're small. It doesn't matter whether they're, you know, wealthy or not. It doesn't matter whatever their status is. It's just the office that
he's an
and that's
elder.
the unfortunate
If
thing,
he's-
because
if
that's
he's
what's been
Uba
lost.
Aba,
You know
he's
what I'm
Uba
saying?
Aba in the community.
you understand.
You respect that. That office
doesn't-
has nothing to do with what his physiology or his financial standing is.
Yes.
It's everything to do with the fact that the community has said our stratification is Uba Aba is going to be an authority, Umama is going to be an authority, and in that order.
In that order.
If you don't get that, then
We have a problem where we look at status so much these days. Okay, why are you telling me this? You have money.
Yeah,
You know,
Who are you?
Who are you in the bigger scheme of things?
that's
Even and you can see it even in how sometimes our politicians are arrogant,
yeah.
right? when there's a voice of reason, and the question is, but who are you to say? What do you have? What do you have to show for it?
Yeah.
Like, we need to stop that. You know what I'm saying? There's a time where I think as people we need to say, guys, let the right opinion or the right argument win. It doesn't matter whether you have money or you have this or that.
Yeah.
Let's choose the right decision in situations. We don't approve gender-based violence, so let's address it.
100%.
Okay, as such, doesn't matter who says it, and it's sometimes don't shoot. Sometimes we get so caught up with how people say things than what they're actually saying.
Yeah. Hey.
And we get so caught up, the fact that they used Twitter as
The tonality.
a platform, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, like why? Who are you as a man to say this? You know what I'm saying? Or women, who are you to say this? Sit down and like, we need to get to a point where we want to do better.
Yeah. On that note of doing better, ne? Ish, man, I'm just looking at the topics and I'm like, I need to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Should couples who are dating go to therapy together?
I think it's important. Yes.
It depends.
No, I think it's important.
No, it depends.
On what?
Let's hear.
It depends on, firstly, how long you guys have been together. No, it does. It does. Why am I gonna go with you if I've been with you for 2 months?
I'm with love, but I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you have to say. Okay, why?
I refuse. Let me tell you why. Okay. What is therapy?
Therapy is a place where you go to sort of figure things out for yourself.
Right. It's a place where you're going to figure things out for yourself, and a place where you're going to better yourself.
Yeah, it's a place you're gonna better yourself.
Right. So I'm not talking about hookups. Let's make it very different.
This is not about. This is not about.
Hook up to unless we just want to.
And that's what I wanted us to clarify.
Yeah.
To say, hey.
That's why it depends on time.
You see what I'm saying? What? Not just time though, because are you like we know this to be true. Like there are people who date, but for years or for whatever period, but they're just not serious about each other.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if you're dating for real, right? If you're dating for real, I think you should go for therapy. Like, because therapy really exposes who you really are, or at least it should, right?
Yeah.
Who you really are, where your mind is at, right? And if you're serious about someone, I feel, and this hasn't been, implemented
In your life.
in my mind. Yeah, that's I haven't taken anyone for therapy. I think it's important, Q. Let me tell you why I think it's important. I think it's important, especially if you're now dating for like, okay, I'm really trying to know this person. I'm really trying to get to a point where I'm comfortable with saying we're in a good relationship, or this relationship is going somewhere.
Yeah.
I think therapy creates a platform where it should create a platform where we can express our opinions without feeling judgment, without feeling like I'm trying to convince you, you're trying to convince me, do you understand? I'm there to talk about how I'm seeing the relationship. We're going to talk about where my mind is at, as much as you're talking about that as well.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to find each other through that, right? So I think it should be, as much as I can go personally in my own capacity to go and get me checked, right?
Yeah.
I think it's okay once I know, like, okay, I'm really invested in this.
Yeah.
And I really want this to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay? That we should go for therapy. To say, okay.
No, at that point, you can go for therapy.
We might think we're okay.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's Bobby
But
and Whitney.
when should you?
No.
We don't know what the Taliban is doing underground, bro. Like,
We might
No,
think we're
100%.
perfect, but it's a Bobby and Whitney situation
Yeah.
where, like, our chaos is normal to us, but to everyone it's like, this is really bad.
So I want to just ask you, Q. Like, would you sort of like recommend people to go for premarital
As somebody
counseling?
who's on the other,
Yeah.
How do you look at it?
strongly. I'm sorry, I took a bite into a cookie. Strongly. Not some counseling that's very uninvolved and just a lot of opinion of how you should run your marriage.
Right.
Okay.
count therapy. Because therapy is healing.
Yeah.
Now understand this. When you're becoming a married unit, it's a new human being. It's a new being.
Yeah.
Single you, single guy, single girl is different from husband and wife. Believe me, there's a third being that's being created, the new being, which is the two of them together. That is a cathartic process. That's traumatic to anybody because you're creating a new thing. Birth is traumatic. Understand that. So the same way, and death is traumatic. Now here, you're birthing a new being and you're killing the old single selves. You need therapy for that. You can't do without it. Believe me. Yes, whichever form you take it, whether it's going to be mentorship, or it's going to be, okay, fine, you go to your pastor and do whatever. But as far as my experience is concerned, that didn't go deep enough. And so my reticence to it, because I just thought this thing is superficial, it turned out to be for me. I didn't get the resolution I needed. And so we had a problem at the beginning. And I believe if you really want it to last, you're going to need to go. My recommendation is go to a medical therapist. Sit together. Now let's hear what your minds are.
True. And the beauty of it, like I'm saying, is for me, it's don't just go when something is bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't wait. It's actually a matter of don't wait till shit gets bad. When things hit the fan, then it's like, oh, we got to go to therapy. You know, I feel like that therapy should be more of a proactive, preventative measure to see the red flags and the signs.
That's it.
And then address them there. Because they're easier to address before they manifest themselves into some huge catastrophe. You know?
Do you want to talk to Ted Bundy after he's done the things he did, or you want to talk to him in his
Do you
youth?
understand? Are you waiting for a man to cheat first to then say, oh, we got to go and talk to somebody? Or when the dude was telling you, I'm not happy about this. I don't like how you're talking to me. I don't like, you understand? Would you rather address it at that level, or you're waiting for,
And please, I know you're going to be in the comments going wild. Please don't take it as, okay, fine then, so we should take in the context of men. We're giving an example to say, if it could be even you as the girl.
It could be you cheating. It could be you know what I'm saying? And you know how it is? The perception is women, they really think about this thing before it actually happens.
They're cheating.
Yeah, like there's some thought process.
You've already lost her before she does the deed.
There's calculations that have been done already. You understand? Before, so it's like
constant monitoring.
So do you want to wait till things get to that point? You know, before you actually go for therapy, or you want to address issues that are real first. Before now, we have to dealing with the scandal. Okay, which could have been avoided if we had addressed the real issues that we had. Do you understand? Because sometimes that's what it is. Think about it, Q. Like, you've been in situations where you and your woman are not getting along, and then there are bad decisions that are made as a result of that. That it's been going on for ages. Then now you're making these bigger mistakes that were really dumb and not necessary, right? That could have been avoided if we had addressed the real issues. If I don't like that, I don't like the way your family speaks to me or how your family addresses me. That's a real concern, right? And in some cases, some people are very defensive about that. Oh, it's my family. What?
That's the natural response.
It's a real conflict, right?
Yeah.
Which might need some kind of not necessarily mediation to address it, but we want to wait till a man is like, screw you and your family then. You understand?
It's too late then.
Too late then. And then now there's another baby that's been made. Now, now we're dealing with that.
Now we have a crisis to deal with.
Now we have a crisis. So I'm just saying, like, personally, I think these things should be addressed before they get to that point. That's why, mental health and counseling generally is important to include in your life if you can. But now, how do we make it accessible to the masses? That's where we need to deal with these things and say, okay, as society, as our leaders, as community leaders, how do we incorporate this into our society that is part of our existence? You know what I mean?
I think it's like all services that, like, fine, we're going to make this available to the general public who maybe can't afford it.
Yes.
But it's just that obviously at this level, because it's free, government is obviously catering to it, or it's being funded however. So that means that they're not going to get the same quality of service as somebody who is obviously paying millions for an hour or whatever. You know what I mean? So I just think that's typically how it could end up being available to them. But I guess some help is better than no help. So I'm all for that.
We need to figure it out. Listen, we're not government. We're not. We just.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the solution is at that level. How do we actually apply it? But
100%.
that's what's necessary. I think we need to make this accessible to the masses. People need to be educated about this. Okay. You could be a failure at every other module in school, but you can't fail social.
Life orientation.
You understand?
Yeah.
That was one of those modules you knew, like, if you failed everywhere else, like, at least you got that one correct. But it's important, I feel, you know what I mean, to pay attention to that. In terms of other key things to look at when we talk about just the dating aspect, and this one, I think we need to just let's go for it. So the thing is,
be direct.
how it applies to the cheating debate. Okay. Because I was thinking about this. I'm like, what if we're scientifically trying to break this down? What causes people to cheat? How does a person become a cheat? I mean, we always deal with, man, you shouldn't cheat. You shouldn't, you know what I mean? You should stick to but what at a scientific level causes because then maybe we might be able to prevent it if we know what the triggers are. And I promise sometimes we don't like to tackle the triggers. We just like to look at the results and say, that's wrong, you're trash, right? But fundamentally, what are those things that make people cheat? Maybe we can save some people's relationship, gents. You understand? If we enlighten and break this thing down, enlighten people about what, Lance?
Don't direct it at me, bro. Don't direct it at me. Don't direct it. Start with you and Aubrey.
No, I'm not qualified to speak on this.
No. This nigga. No.
What was that?
Start that side of the room.
Our viewers are gonna think all of these guys are cheaters.
No, it's not that we're cheaters.
No, it's not.
No, it's not that we're cheaters.
I'm just saying,
hey, man.
If we're gonna have we should have a very honest, and this is to our audience as well. We should have a very honest conversation about this stuff, man. Like in that moment, not talking to the audience. In that moment when you made that decision, right? What drove you to make that call, to make that decision? To say, okay, it's okay. I validated this. I'm gonna do it. Okay? Because usually people say men don't think.
Yeah.
Right? But that's a very shallow, high-level statement, right?
Yeah.
In that moment, Aubrey. Okay?
Always gets name dropping, bro.
In that moment, what goes in a person's mind, right? To say, this makes sense right now. Okay? I'll deal with the consequences when I deal with them. Okay? I'll try to prevent it. I might get away with it. Because I don't want to make it about. I don't want us to look at it as just bad behavior. Right? Yeah. I don't want us to look at it as just.
But I think also when you.
Because let's be honest. If we're going to be very honest, yeah? Fundamentally, when people commit to someone, in the sense of dating or marriage, people generally, and this is not to speak for everyone, but people generally have the right intention. They want this thing to work. They want this to be a success. They want to commit to this person. They feel like, I don't need anything else. This is it. Right?
Or they should.
Or at least they should.
They should, yeah.
We're not talking to the people that don't think that. We're not the ones that really want this thing to work.
Yeah.
Right? Who get into something with the right intention. So how do we move from that to I'm gonna
But I just wanted to touch on what you
To
said.
Becky with the good hair.
do you understand?
Becky with the good. I just wanted to touch on what you said. I don't think you think of the consequences at that time.
Why?
Okay.
No, I'm saying not that I've cheated
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
but I'm saying like I think
The audience already knows.
no.
The audience just heard you, but carry on.
I'm saying I don't think you think of the consequences at that time. Like I think reflecting back then, like in those moments, you actually just thinking about how happy you are in that space. You know what I'm saying?
I actually think that's the question Derek is asking. What's missing here that makes you find happiness there?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what has happened to say this is not the ultimate situation
There's another better than what I
in
have.
this moment? Because it's the moment thing.
Yeah.
Say this is a better moment.
Look, I think there's so many dimensions to it. There are expectations that might not be met.
Yeah.
There might be expectations met, and there might still be the urge to just go and find something else. That's an internal dialogue that needs to be sorted out.
Yeah.
Or there might just be a question of an overwhelming appeal.
Yes.
I am telling you, there are men who've been caught in situations where the temptation is just so much greater than to do good.
No,
And
that's true.
so that's why at some points you're told, flee from temptation. Because you will never be able to overcome every temptation.
That's right.
The reason it's tempting. Listen, I can't tempt you with a cigarette if you're not a smoker.
Yeah.
But if you are, and I have a medicine, and it's smelling good, and you can smell that tobacco, and you're hooked on that, then you're caught up. So, of course, we are attracted to I'm talking about the straight men, let's say, you're attracted to the opposite gender and certain traits of theirs. If you find a concentration of those traits that's more amplified than what you may have in your commitment, that's a temptation. You might want to extract yourself from that situation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand like what happens because you know what I mean. Like, not to pretend like I haven't cheated before. I'll be the honest one out of all. I've been caught on the wrong side of the thing at some point when I was younger, right? Now, it's trying to figure out what were those triggers, right? And these are some of those things that I think can be discussed in those therapy sessions as well. Yeah. Like, what are those triggers that put you in those situations where you felt was okay? Not to say it's a good call, but in that moment you thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's I'm not gonna get caught, which is a shallow excuse, but beyond that, what made it okay for me to break my commitment to this person?
Yeah, so never mind that person, even if they were trash talking you.
Yes.
What made it okay internally?
In my
for you to
mind,
grow?
to say, I'll take the risk, I'll take my chances. Right? Because I think fundamentally it comes down to breaking down what is going on in some cases in the relationship itself.
Yeah.
Okay? That puts you in a situation where you're willing to risk it. Because that's what you're doing at that point.
Yeah.
You're making it cold, say, I'll take the risk. I like this, but I think I need this as well.
Just for
complement.
Yeah.
What I need.
Yeah.
Do you understand what? And I'm saying that's a bad call in itself. Yes, but that's the logic if you think about it. If we're going to be practical. I'm basically making a decision to say, okay, I have this person in my life. They're great. They're awesome. Yes. But I need this bonus to add to complicate the gap that's there. The 20% I'm missing. So I'm 100. Do you understand? And I think sometimes we need to get away from just the shallow conversation of your trash, your this and that, to really understand how do
The thinking behind it.
I'm relaxed, dog. Like, how do we? We need to move away from just that shallow. Okay, to say, what are some of those things that we're not addressing? Maybe.
Yeah.
For me, I agree with everything you said, and the reason why I keep laughing is because I agree with what you were saying, in that there's such a variety of reasons. But I like the fact that you guys brought it down to in a committed relationship, because I think when I'm just not serious about you, and people are gonna just think now Aubrey is never in serious situations because he's always talking about. But in a serious situation, it for me, I think definitely there's issues of maybe we're fighting constantly. You know, there's no joy to this, and I always say, you know, whether male or female, if you want to keep the person who you're dating or seeing, you need to be a place of peace. Because if you bring drama to this girl or this guy, eventually they're going to be like, but why am I actually here? What do I get out of this situation? You know what I mean? Yeah, he seemed cool at first, or she seemed awesome at first, but do I really want to live with these headaches every now and again? Every other week it's an issue. You know what I mean? And now the thing about it is, I think both men and females get comfortable in that, okay, that's my person. And we've been through so much. So it's like, to get out of the situation, you're thinking to rebuild that with someone else, it's just work. But you're willing to go out, to step out. Because it's like, okay, let me have my fun over here. And then I'll have my relationship over there. You get what I'm saying? So I think, you know,
And that's the distinction that we make. Like, I think in relationships, we always tend to say, okay, I'm in this committed relationship with this person.
Yeah.
But I am sort of, just for the sake of having something else on the side, you end up, not that I have, so you keep giving me the look.
Don't justify yourself.
No, I'm not justifying myself.
This is a safe space, bro.
No, it is a safe space, but I'm just saying, like, that's how you tend to like end up in those situations.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, it's something that we do need to address.
We do need to, because I think we need. I'm just saying, I hate these shallow conversations. About, you know, oh, you're this or that, but we're not really getting to what, because you know, fundamentally people want to be good, I think, but it's either their past or certain things that they haven't dealt with, or just, you know, experiences that have put them in these situations where they make bad decisions, justify them, and they're okay. And I think fundamentally, at a spiritual level, right, coming back to that point, at a spiritual level, we were all created to be good. So as a child, when you're born, when you're innocent, that innocence, right, is designed to be a good, add to society and be good, right? But something happens along the way, in some cases, that changes your DNA. Do you understand? Yeah. And you pick up habits, and you pick up.
Derek is really on the science tip today.
You know what I'm saying?
DNA. No,
I don't know.
But for real though, for me, on my side, I feel like, and I'm speaking to the gents right now. Like, guys, can we start just leaving these women that are not making us happy, that are frustrating us? Because I can tell you now, like, I'm never afraid to be like, this is not working for me. I didn't sign up for this. Because why I'm saying that, why I'm speaking to the gents like that is, I feel like you guys, in staying with a woman who's doing something that is totally, you know, you're not for this nonsense. You make it seem like she can do this stuff. And then when we meet her, it's like, and they're like, what makes you think this is cool? You know what I'm saying? So
I was gonna say, to add to what you're saying, which is important, is the first part is, if you're not ready to commit, if you haven't found what you're looking for, don't just do it for the sake, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, don't just date for the sake of dating. Like if and that's something I'm comfortable with doing now, which maybe as a younger person I wasn't, right? Like, if I'm not 100% convinced this is why, I'm not gonna just jump in. You understand? Because I know what's gonna happen. See what I'm saying? You can already see, like, okay, excuse me, I might be excited now, but this is not gonna be sustainable. I'm gonna get
in the long run,
bored. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think we need to get to that point to say, listen, bro, if you still want to play the field and you still want to do, like, listen, there's some people that are willing to do that with you. Do you know what I mean? But think about your time.
Be honest with yourself first.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And be honest with others. To say, listen, this is where I'm at. I'm out here, man. Like, this is what we're doing right now. And that addresses, that saves you, protects you, protects other people as well. People appreciate honesty generally, you know? And I think that's also what we need to teach You need to be taught these things sometimes. You know, to be honest with yourself, to accept and know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that you can be useful and beneficial to other people as well. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's on the mental health thing. That's on that. We're done with that part. So we went out, I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah. That was lit.
That was lit.
I did nothing crazy, by the way. Let me just put it out there.
We went out with the boys.
Oh, it was lit, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Women's Day.
Bro, we went out
Day
twice,
before.
dog.
Was it day before?
Day before.
Oh,
We went out twice.
Yeah, twice before.
Oh, yeah.
I want to iterate that I was not a part of these proceedings.
Now Q just like dished us, like, you know.
These youngins.
Yo, man, my mom's was in town.
So we went out and it was Aubrey's birthday.
yeah. Happy belated Aubrey.
It was a vibe. It was a good time.
Older and wiser, by the way.
So, it's a weird. I hadn't seen my man in action like that prior to this, right?
I feel like I shouldn't say anything.
I'm just happy I'm single right
I
now.
hadn't seen him in action like that. And you know what I mean? He did his thing.
Yo,
What a good time.
what an amazing time, man.
And I was just like, you know, because, so just to paint a picture, we're hanging out. We just want to have drinks. We're out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there was some, you know, people that were hanging out in the same space we were hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
Thank you, Q. Thank you.
and so our boy was like, yo, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go out.
okay.
Let's go there.
birthday boy, we see you.
It took some convincing.
You know what I'm saying?
But, the homies came through.
Let's make it happen. So he did his thing, right?
Yo.
And at the back of my mind, I was just thinking like, this is a lost art of approaching women like that.
Yeah. That's
You
true.
know what I mean? Like there was a time, you know, I hate to, it's gonna make us look like old heads, but like when we were younger, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a thing.
Tertiary.
Step up to a woman,
What's up?
spit some game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? And then you're in there, and it's like I've achieved something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And you tell your boys, and you are like the man. For
you
that.
understand? Like it was,
Yeah.
and for me, I'll be honest, that's something I had to be taught by my elders, my older brothers, my cousins.
Yeah.
Like, yo, that's how you do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, you gotta say this like this. Like, don't be too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gave the game to you.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, this is such a lost art where people are so entitled.
I've never seen Aubrey in action like that, by the way.
But for me, it was so dope. I was like, man,
Yeah.
it's because now we've got everything on our, you know?
Yeah. Tinder,
Everyone-
Bumble.
You understand? Everyone's in the club doing this. And anywhere you are, everyone is just like, there might be
Yeah.
opportunities all around. But we're here, you know? And I was just like, man, like it's the art of approaching women, okay? And let's just not even just make it about women, but just the art of approaching people.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
having a
Having
conversation.
a conversation.
Yeah.
This facial, you know,
Yeah.
in the flesh, right, has been lost over the years, over time, right? And it was just a beautiful thing to see it in action. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what it is. We get
It
there.
was a beautiful thing to see Aubrey in action. Like, let's just be real. Like, it was just a beautiful thing.
How Lance is disassociating himself with that.
Bro,
Lance,
I don't think he's.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no. Listen, we were just kicking it, okay?
Yeah, we were just kicking
It was just a vibe.
It was just a vibe. It was a
Nah,
great vibe.
it's
I had an
okay.
amazing
It was a
time,
vibe,
man.
bro.
It was a vibe.
Yeah, like it's okay.
Yeah, man.
All right, but I'm saying like fundamentally, just that of in-person interactions of just like kicking it with people and,
Yeah, it
and
was
getting to know
busy.
each other and just vibing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we all have situations here and there or whatever where it's like, for instance, okay, not to put Lance on the spot, but
You're putting me on the spot, but it's okay.
point being,
Yeah.
like it's not a matter of because okay, let me use myself. Right? It's not a matter of because Derek is in a relationship or Derek has someone. Derek can't socialize.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Okay, Derek can't be social because that's what it was.
Yeah.
We didn't leave there like like it was like a smash vibe.
Yeah.
It was like
we went back home and we slept.
You know what I'm saying? We were responsible.
We went back home and we slept.
Lance, you're not doing yourself any favors, bro.
Bro, Lance has been explaining himself.
No,
I'm like, why are you doing this?
We just need to put it out there. It needs to be noted. Guys. It just needs to be noted.
Who's done with trauma?
Oh man, I can't.
Right? But anyway, my point was, like, the idea is just that human, face-to-face interaction with people, because that's what we're here for, man. Meet people, interact, have a good time, have moments, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not everything has to be like sexual or
100%.
It's not about that. So it was just from just that fun that we had. It was just like, bro, like it was great to watch. Like, okay, this thing has been missing, and we need to get back to that where people can just interact. Bro, haven't you seen like there's some people that are so good at sending emails, but they can't communicate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're so used to this and this.
Even long texts, like with people that you talk to on a daily. You know
But
what I'm saying?
I make it if I meet anyone, it's like, yo, listen, I hate to text. I'd rather have a conversation. I'll call you or you call me.
People are scared of, like, I've seen people don't pick up calls. People are so scared
We
of
need
phone
to
calls.
get back to that. Like, work on just communicating with people first. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Use your words. Learn how to use your words, man.
Yeah.
Your vocabulary has to be good. You gotta read. You know what I'm saying? You gotta read. Like, and that's another thing. People don't read, bro.
Yeah.
People are not informed. People use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for information
Well, say breast or stuff.
about life. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
Like, people are using social media as a way to be educated, which is pathetic. It's shocking. People don't read anymore. People don't know how to communicate. And I think it's one of those things that we need to encourage anyone. As much as you've got time to hang out, have fun, check out what's going on online, but read, man. Be educated,
100%.
proper. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing amazing as having a conversation with someone that is a very educated conversation or informed conversation, right? Yeah. Because you can really go to so many levels of understanding and being informed and
just learning something new.
And learning something new.
Yeah.
That's stimulating. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it is.
Let's talk about it, gents. Like, that is stimulating. Having a conversation, very, deep, smart, conversation with someone, a lady or whoever.
Yeah.
Is amazing. That type of connection is, do you know what I'm saying? Like, Lance, when you met your lady, like, you understand, like, when she was telling you those things around what she does, and you were telling her what you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you understand, like, that, there's something there.
Yeah, there is. There is.
So yeah, that was just an amazing experience. So we just wanted to touch on that a little bit. You know what I mean? For those that wanted to send Aubrey some happy birthday, messages or whatever, hit him up in the comments.
Slide in the DMs.
Slide in the DMs.
Slide in the DMs.
But yeah, we appreciate y'all for your time, man. It was great. I hope
we out. Subscribe.
Subscribe to the platform. We got a lot of amazing stuff coming. So stay tuned, and shout out to Vitamin Q Studios. If y'all have something you want to shoot or any content related material that you want to, put out there, whatever, reach out to the homie. It's, he's on Instagram as well. It's what on Instagram? What's the handle? Right. Follow us on Instagram as well. Great Avenue Podcast. We'll put it, on the screen as well.
100.
And stay tuned, man.
We out.
It's been real. We're out.
Take care.
Peace.